Hello, everybody. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope me to step to. I'm back. Clearly, I have been doing whatever the heck I want to do, and no plans of changing that, but I do want to be more consistent. Part of the reason why I was gone was because I was grinding on something that I will tell y'all about in my next honesty. Those are coming back. And the other part is I was just really like I was feeling a shift in the atmosphere. First, hi y'all, I'm Britt. If you don't know that, you now do. This is my channel, brittwriterly, booktube, author tube, love the Lord tube, welcome in. So I was really sort of thinking about like the trajectory of my reading, the things that I was interested in reading, and I was feeling sort of shift in the atmosphere, and I was sort of waiting really for it to shift back to what I used to read when I first started my channel in 2020, which is YA fantasy, and urban romance, primarily urban romance. What a tag. Black romance, really. There hasn't been a shift back though, so I think that's okay because I'm growing. I'm growing up. I'm literally aging, and I think that has just naturally, organically shifted my reading preferences. And so instead of waiting for it to turn back and for it to make a sort of brand sense, I'm just gonna do what is authentic to me. What a concept, right? I know. So, welcome to my first Rebellious Reading Report. These will be whatever I happen to be reading. There will be no sense. It'll literally just be whatever I happen to be reading. And it will probably be all over the place, but I'm not going to keep waiting for it to make generic sense. I'm just going to be like, hey, this is what it is. The end, the end. So, if you didn't know that I moved. If you didn't know that I moved in with an older woman from my church, praise the Lord, he is good and so are his people. Now you do, which is why you're getting all of this seasoning on this couch. I literally feel like I am living with a grandmother. She has grandchildren. So yeah, it's like living with a grandma. And it's as cute and quaint as it sounds. Look at these textures. So much. So anyway, coming to you from that setting. All right. Another part of my like trajectory that's sort of changing is I don't really think I'm gonna go back to reading YA fantasy because YA fantasy isn't really written for me, right? Like I do think it would be really, really interesting to do a series where I break down what's going on in particular YA fantasies because I do want to continue to know that and be aware of it to keep myself sharp. But in the same way as you don't, in academic writing, you don't read the entire book cover to cover. You read the intro very thoroughly, you skim the chapters of interest, you read the conclusion, particular parts of the conclusion, and skim the rest. And that gives you a workable command of the book's arguments. You can't really read a novel that way, in the exact same way. But I do wonder if there is a similar, like a parallel practice where I don't have to go word for word through a YA novel to understand the characters, their motivations, the hills and valleys of the structure, and get an appreciation of like what's trending, what am I seeing a lot of, how a particular author that I'm interested in is carrying out a magic system or things like that. That would be an interesting series. But I think I'm done taking extreme and personal joy in YA fantasy, even good YA fantasy. I'm just not in that, like, it's not written for me. I'm not a young adult in that way. Young adult's written for like teens and maybe early 20s, but it's certainly not written for no 28-year-old, and I am. And so when I first started my channel in 2020, I was 25, which I do feel like YA gets read by people up to 25, maybe 26. And it was about then that I really stopped taking personal joy in it and was just like, oh, these are people who I appreciate their work, people who I want to get to know better. Now, like, like that was sort of motivating me then. Now I'm just like, yes, I want to make friends with authors, and yes, I want to know what's going on in the field, as it were, like in the discipline. All my vocabulary is so academic. I want to know what's going on in the genre, but I don't want to read it word for word to know. So I'm gonna be thoughtful about a process, and I think I'll try it out by trying this practice out with books that I have read, like Blood Like Magic, like Beast of Prey, because I have both of those physically. Trying it out with books that I have read to see what would be a way to break down this book, skimming it. So if I decide to do that, I'll let y'all know how that goes. And we'll see if I can't make a practice that allows me to stay up to date and in touch with what's going on in the genres that I write in without having to read a lot of this stuff. And this was not like a that sucks face. It was just like, that's just where I am with it face. Okay. So is YA fantasy coming back? Not in the way that it once was. Is Black romance coming back? Sure. Absolutely. What's not coming back is me reading any romance that's sexually explicit. I don't want to. I don't feel like that's an appropriate way for me to guard my heart as someone who claims to love God. Like, if I'm not going to be doing all these sexually explicit acts with someone to whom I'm not married, then why am I reading about it? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And so I really want to move to more like wholesome, closed door romance. And I've read several books where there isn't any sex at all, and it's lovely. I really enjoy it. So that's where my trajectory is shifting, right? If you're down for that, if you want clean romance recs, if you want randomness and chaos, you're in the right place. But that's that. So for my first Rebellious Reading Report, I'm going to do a review of a series, and I hope that it can be quick, but I don't know. It's this Audible original series by Liz Maverick. I'm a fan of her, at least her wholesome romance. I saw her, because most of the covers of like a lot of like wholesome romance I've seen look like this. I don't know if you can see this. If you can't, I'll put it up on the screen. You can't really see it. There's a glare. It's it's illustration. It's not pictures. It's not like photography. It's not like an Alexandria House, Let Me Love You, where we see like, it's a picture of a man. Like a photograph of a man. And a lot of the like wholesome stuff I see, it's drawings as opposed to photographs, and I'm like, I wonder what that is meant to signal. But at any rate, I really love her covers. As someone who like was recently working with a cover designer, I have a new appreciation for the art, and I really like her covers. They're super pretty. They're very pretty. Yeah. Anyway. So, 8 Winter Nights. It's a Winter Nights trilogy. I think it's gonna be a saga. There's one more friend left in this friend group. The Winter Nights series, let's call it, goes through this group of that starts off as 4 friends and grows. So the core friend group is Rachel, Tamara, Elliot, and Sarah. Those are the core groups. Other people, men, get added as Rachel, as Tamara, as Sarah, as they find love, like, and Elliot. Like, as everyone in that friend group finds love, the friend group grows. But those are the 4 core people, which is why I'm like, I think it's gonna be a saga, if anything. But there's 3 so far, and I'm waiting for the 4th one, because I have a favorite character. I'm not the type of person who's like, I'm an unbiased reader of character. I've never said that, and I never will. I'm completely biased. I am. So, the first book is called, in the Winter Nights series, is called 8 Winter Nights, and it is That's where we meet like all of the friends, which is interesting. What's interesting is, as I was driving home, I got so tired and I had to stop by Dunk's and get, what is this? What is this? A large ice original latte. Oh, the white chocolate latte. I was so tired, y'all. So tired. Anyway, so the first one is about Rachel, and the premise of Eight Winter Night. And there's Jewish representation. All the 4 core friend groups are Jewish. And so it is the holiday season. It's winter, and there's this like huge Hanukkah party that the Bosch family throws. There's like super rich Jewish, obviously, family. They throw this Hanukkah party at the end of Hanukkah every single year. So every book is around the time of the Hanukkah party, and the Hanukkah party is always like, oh, well, this will be done by the Hanukkah party, or, well, after the Hanukkah party, it'll be done. Like, that's always the milestone marker of when whatever shenanigans is underway will end. So, which I love consistency like that. I really, really love knowing the rules of a world and that knowledge carrying over to multiple books, because then makes me feel like I'm on the inside of something. Because like, oh, I know how this works. The Hanukkah party, of course, the Bosch family, sure. I love it. And then you get to build on who the Bosch family is throughout. And I just love books that have worlds where it's not complicated, but it is lush. I love that. So the Eight Winter Nights centers especially the friendship of Rachel and Tamara. So there's 4 friends, right? But Rachel and Tamara have been friends, basically, in Rachel's words, since birth. She's like, Tamara is the kind of person who's very charismatic, so everyone thinks that they're Tamara's friends, and I let them think that, but really, Tamara and I are besties. Besties for resties. That's us. Everyone else, they're friends, and they can even be really, really good friends, really, really close friends. Fine. Besties for resties, though. Stents for revs. So that's them. Tamara is very, like, she's the life of the party. She's a diva. She's very, very beautiful. And so everyone always looks at her. And Rachel is more, not that she's not beautiful, but she's just more reserved than Tamara. And she describes Tamara as being more eye-catching than her. Whereas Rachel is more bookish. I don't know what Tamara does. I don't know what Tamara... I don't even know if that's really said. I'm sure that it is. But whatever she does, she's glamorous. Rachel works in HR. So let that... Right? Like, there's a difference in these women's personalities and their lifestyle. But they fit. They complement each other. So, they go to the Bosch Hanukkah party. There are these kids running around making much nonsense. So basically, they're standing at the bottom of these stairs because the Bosch family is really rich, so the party's held in their mansion. They're sitting at the bottom of these steps, misdirecting people, and saying, like, so this guy named Oz, who is the male main character, he's the love interest, he has a plate of food, and these kids, these triplets, are like, hey, there's a pool table in the room at the top of the stairs to the right. So he's like, oh, word, goes up. It's not a room with a pool table. It's a balcony, and it locks automatically. So he goes out. It's locked from the inside. So you can go out, but when you go out, it locks when it closes. And so he goes out, like, where's the pool table? Door closes behind him, gets locked out. Rachel's like, I need to go to the bathroom real bad. She goes upstairs and she asks these boys who have moved to the top of the staircase. She's like, hey, do you know where the bathroom is? And they're like, oh yeah, to your right. Goes up there, gets locked out with Oz, which she starts to not mind because she's like, oh my gosh. And her mom had told her, there's a new man. So her mom is constantly trying to fix her up. And she's like, there's a new Jewish man. Get on it, honey. Get on it. Do not let him get snatched up. So she is like, Mom, okay, you're annoying. Like, her mom's been trying to do this with her for her entire life. So she's not really thinking about this. She gets locked out and she's like, this has to be the new man. Because I know all the men's. And ain't none of them looking like you. So she's like, happy to be locked out. And they start talking and it's wonderful. They're hitting it off. Mind you, this book is 2 hours and 55 minutes. So do we get the entire conversation? No. But we get enough to see, like, okay, he's funny. Okay, they have a similar sense of humor. They're kikiing. It's cute. Go, Rachel. Go, Rachel, go. And so then Tamara comes, and they're like, oh, don't close the door. She catches it, and she's like, what's going on down here? Here's where I get annoyed. They're having a good old kiki time. Oz and Rachel. Oz and Rachel. As soon as Tamara comes out, Rachel watches Oz's attention go, as always happens when Rachel is around. So Rachel fades to the back like she always does. And I'm like, girl, you're having a good time with this man. Tell your girl that you like him. Because Tamara is the type of person where she likes being the center of attention. And she's going to do what she wants to do in life. But she's not selfish with it. She's like, I'm going to take care of myself. But she's very kind and very selfless, as we'll see later. And very self-aware, as we'll see later. So she then goes and comes into the room, and she's like, Rachel, you look cold, because she left her coat inside, so Oz gave her his jacket. Tamara takes the jacket off her, throw it back to Oz, and puts her own coat around her. And Rachel was like, I wonder if she understands what she just did, like the symbolism of it all. And I'm not a usual, if you know me. I'm not really a giver of the benefit of the doubt type of girl. But because of what we learn about Tamara later, and that she's very kind, very selfless, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. She didn't mean to do it. She didn't clock. She didn't clock it. Because as soon as she walked out, they're yelling at her, don't close the door. So I think that there was just a lot going on, and she just missed the static that was coming between Rachel and Oz's eyes. Rachel and Oz. So, but she sees him and she's like, ooh, what a slice of man. And Oz is looking at her like, what a woman. Hubba hubba. Eyes coming out of the heart. And so Rachel's like, that's my cue. I'm gonna tip on out. And she leaves. She puts a bagel in the door to stop it. I said, what in the world? So then she leaves, and Oz and Tamara end up dating. So that's how the friend group goes from 4 to 5. And now it's Oz and Tamara, Rachel, Elliot, Sarah. Elliot and Sarah live together as roommates, but they're not a couple. More on that later, child. My goodness. So, they're together for a year. Rachel is pining after that man. She fell in love with him on the spot. Didn't tell Tamara nothing. Didn't take her to the side and be like, girl, let's be locked out of here. Nothing. She took Tamara's admittedly warmer coat, went back inside, left a bagel in the door so they could get back into, and didn't say nothing later that night. She didn't text Tamara she didn't say nothing. She just let it go and let them be together, and was just pining over this man. Fills journals with her love for him. So all of that happens, and the book has sort of like flashbacks. So we get that moment. And then we are like flash forward to a year, and it is 8 days before the next Hanukkah party. So they met the Hanukkah party. It's been a year that Tamara and Oz are together. Hanukkah party's coming back around. It's at the end of Hanukkah. Oz and Tamara were going to go to Bali for Hanukkah. Because Oz didn't really grow up with much family, and they weren't very observant of the Jewish faith, even though he is Jewish. And Tamara is Jewish, but she's just like, she's not really observant of it either. And so them going to Bali for Hanukkah, they're like, yeah, we'll be back for the party. So something happens. They have some sort of little tiff where Oz basically is like, yo, do we even really fit together? And she's like, I agree, we don't. We're done. And she goes to Bali alone, honey. Calls Rachel up on the way and is like, hey, Oz fell and broke his leg. I'm going to Bali alone. Also, we broke up. So can you stay over there and like nurse him back to health so he doesn't like starve to death or ruin his calf taking a shower, whatever. Thanks, girl. Lay bye. And it goes radio silent. I said, what in the world? So Rachel is like, okay, are you okay? She was like, yeah, girl, I'm fine, bye. And so Rachel is like, that was a very quick phone call. She seems to be okay, but I can't really tell if she's okay or is like crying on the inside. Didn't sound like it, but I couldn't really tell. It was a 30-second conversation. She won't answer her phone. So she goes over there. Oz is like, he seems fine also. So that's the premise. Now I'm going to fast forward through everything and just tell you my thoughts on the book. I would give this a 5-star. Actually, I would give the series overall a 5-star. It's very cute. Every single couple is cute. What essentially happened is... Oh, spoilers. This is a spoiler. So I'll flag it down when I'm done spoiling it. What essentially happened is they did break up. Tamara broke up with him, and she was trying to get Rachel and Oz together by asking Rachel to take care of him because she already knew that Rachel... Well, I don't know if she really knew that Rachel was in love with him. Like, I don't know if she knew it the entire time that they were dating. I don't think she did. But I think she figured it out and was like, you and Oz are perfect for each other, and Oz and I are not in love with each other. Which we see because he asks Rachel to help him get Tamara back, but his reasons are very business. It's like, oh, Tamara and I are perfect together. We're a power couple. We can really work a room. My boss loves her. Da-da-da-da. Like, it's that. But at no point does he ever cry over losing Tamara. And he says this because he knows he's going to get her back. But Rachel is like, is that it? Is that it? So, and I am like, no, I don't think that's it. Because even if he did think he was going to get her back, he would at least be stressed until he did. And he was never stressed. He was perfectly at peace because Rachel was there. And that's who he really likes. And so Rachel is writing him love letters from her journal about her love for him. But she reframes them as if Oz is writing them to Tamara so that he can win her back. Which I'm just like, girl, the self-sacrifice is on another level. Let it go. So he reads the letters. He doesn't send any of them to Tamara because he's like, that feels dishonest. The love that Rachel is capturing in these letters is not love that I feel for Tamara. And at that point, it's just like, so why are you trying to get her back? Now, to Oz's credit, he does recognize that, right? Like, he says, what's in these love letters? First of all, it's amazing that Rachel has this level of detailed remembrance of me and Tamara's relationship, not realizing that she's detailed remembering her love for him. And so he's like, I can't say that I feel this for Tamara. And if I don't, should I really be wanting her back? Now, here's what I'll say. It was annoying to have him even say out of his mouth box, I'm not going to cry about it. These aren't true for me, but I want her back because we make sense. Stupid. But they were together for a year. The book takes place over 8 days. And by the 7th day, he knew that he was in love with Rachel, not Tamara, and knew that he didn't want Tamara back. And Tamara, by the way, is not answering any of their phone calls. All which to say, it is admirable that within a week he was able to process and move on from a relationship he had for a year that he had no intention of ending. Tamara broke up with him, even though he's the one that said, oh, maybe I don't want to be with you either. He didn't mean it to end their relationship. She took it there. And then she ghosted him, basically, left the country and was like, I'll see you in 8 days, and did not contact him again. And so, while I'm like, you don't see it, it is... I mean, it's pretty impressive that he was able to turn around in a week's time and be like, actually, the girl I love is right here in front of me, blah, 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 blah. He was very mature and kind, even though he didn't want to be. Not that he didn't want to be kind, but he didn't want to tell Tamara because he'd been sending her these messages. He had never sent her what Rachel said, but he did say, I miss you, come back, we should be together, da-da-da-da. Whack stuff compared to what Rachel was giving him, but that, at least what he was saying, he felt like was true. And so he was like, I feel like if she's been reading all that, she might come back and think that I really want to be with her. Now I realize that I don't. Awkward. So when she comes back, first of all, she's like, boy, I ain't stunned you. You need to be with her. But he didn't he didn't know that Rachel and Tamara had that conversation. They had it when she comes back. Rachel's like, I would never do that to you. And Tamara's like, I want you to do it. He's not my man. He's not my person. And I broke up with him because we're getting old. And it's time for us to have our people and not just be having fun with the hottest person in the room. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I'll give Tamara the benefit of the doubt that she wasn't meaning to snag Oz from under Rachel, because she gave him to her. And so he comes back after they've had this weepy, teary, I love you, girl, da 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 da. And then he's like, Tamara, I hate to say it. And she's just like, go ahead and say it. Like, I'm waiting. Oh no. And he's like, I don't want to be with you that way. I know it's those messages, but she's like, can you speed it up, please? It's cold outside. Which pisses him off enough for him to say it very quickly. And she's like, great. Love you as a friend. So be good to her. Bye. Pieces out. And then they have a really beautiful moment, Rachel and Oz. What I really love about this series, and I think I've taken 26 minutes to tell you about this. Well, not. The first 7 was about like channel updates. I've taken enough time to tell you about this, so I think I'll probably make this into a multiple videoed series review. But what I love about this series as a whole is that they're not all the same, right? So like in some series, you know there's going to be a third act breakup. There's going to be some ridiculous, completely avoidable fight that breaks them up and allows so-and-so to realize, I've always loved you. But that doesn't happen in the Winter Night series. Sometimes there is a third act breakup, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And then, honestly, there's only one third act breakup. And they get back together within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, like the same night. And then, because all these are really short books. 8 Winter Nights, which is the first one, is 2 hours and 55 minutes. And the second one is like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. They're very short. So there's also not a lot of time for foolishness, which I really love. They're very direct. There's no foolishness. They're adults. They behave like adults. And the hesitancies they have are very natural and human. It's like, well, you haven't said that you like me, so I don't necessarily want to say that I like you. I feel like we both know what's going on, but I can't be sure. Like, it's very human stuff where it's like, I'm just not trying to move too fast, but if you give me the wink, I'll give you the nod. So this is the series that I'm reading now by Liz Maverick. The first couple down at 8 Winter Nights is Oz and Rachel. But as you may have been able to tell, I'm more interested in Tamara, because I want to see this super selfless, I'm ready for a real relationship girl win. I want to see her win. So let me know if you've read this series, if you plan on reading this series, if you have thoughts about Rachel, Tamara, Oz. I will say I don't not like Rachel. I like Rachel just fine. Do I think that the level of self-sacrifice she exhibited was necessary, a la giving Oz away to Tam for a whole year? No, I don't think that was necessary. I think she could have easily told her best friend, I really like this guy, but then we'd have no book, I guess. So whatever. I'm not mad at the level of self-sacrifice, because I myself have exhibited it before. It's shockingly easy to do. And not easy as in angst won't follow, angst will. But it's very easy to step out of a situation and not make your position clear to a friend, especially if it's moving very quickly. And it kind of was. Because it would have been very conspicuous for her to like take Tam to the side and be like, hey, I like him. Now she could have texted him later on. But I don't know that they didn't go home together that night, like Oz and Tam. So maybe she felt like it was already too late. Maybe she felt like, why should I tell Tam anything? Oz is clearly into her. Who knows? Like, as much as I'm like, girl, you gave him up for a whole year, I'm also just like, well, it happened very quickly. So, what are your thoughts on Tam, on Oz, on Rachel? And can you guess who book 2 is about? Book 2 is the second couple. And it is called Bright Winter Lights. So the friend group has gone from 4 to 5. Again, the original 4 is Rachel, Tam, Sarah, and Elliot. Rachel even though technically Tam was in a relationship during book 1, it wasn't her romance story. It was Rachel and Oz's. So can you guess who the second book is about? 3 of the original friend group remain: Tam, Sarah, Elliot. Who do we think book 2 is about? So, comment prompt. Who do you think book 2 is about? What are your thoughts on book 1? Does it sound interesting? Have you read any Liz Maverick? What do you think about her? Thus far, I've read 3 of her books. I'm a fan. And I'm hoping for book 4 to come out expeditiously. Please hurry up. Anyway, I think I'm going to enjoy being back to my Rebellious Reading Reports now that I have no pressure to adhere to any brand that I had when I started. It was good for a good time. Not for forever time, and that's okay. We go and we grow. I will see y'all next time. Until then, drink water and mind your lovely business. Be kind as you're able. Blah, blah, blah. Okay,